This video explains how to solve some problems that are word problems by putting together what we learned in the previous sections. So this lesson is truly just showing you examples of how to put it all together. Number 1, a rental car agency charges $170 per week plus 25 cents per mile to rent a car. How many miles can you travel in 1 week for $385? So in the previous lessons I've taught you to look for the keywords per, each, and every, but this time we have two different pers. We have per week and we have per mile. So let's take a look at showing a picture of this. So in the first week we have to purchase the rental of the car. So here's my lovely drawing of a car. And that will cost us $170 for the week. And then I have to pay for each mile. So these are my miles. And it's 25 cents for every mile. And I don't know how many miles I travel, so it will go on forever. Not forever, but it'll go on until I can figure out how much I can go. Now, if I had to go another week, I would have another car. But if I look, it's only for 1 week, so I don't have to do this. So that should help you understand where the variable is. It says how many miles, so that means that x equals the number of miles. Remember, the question will always tell you what your variable should be. In my picture, I have to pay $170 for the car plus 25 cents for every mile, and these are the miles here. And since I don't know how many miles I'm going to have X number of miles. So it's 25 cents times the number of miles, and I'm allowed to spend $385. So that's the equation that I set up for number 1. Then I go ahead and solve it using the strategies I've learned in the earlier sections. There's no distributive property to use. Combining like terms on one side doesn't apply. The variable is already on one side, so step 3 is done. Now we need to get rid of addition and subtraction. So right here, I see that I have 170. That's not with the x, so I have to get rid of the 170. To get rid of it, I need to take it away. So I'm going to subtract 170 from both sides. The 0.25x drops down, and 385 minus 170 is 215. The next step is to get rid of multiplication and division. Remember, if you have a number in front of a variable, it means that you're multiplying. So we're multiplying 0.25 and x. So to get rid of multiplication, I do the inverse, which is division. So I need to divide both sides by 0.25. Many of us can do this in our heads because we know that dividing by 0.25 is the same as multiplying by 4. But some of us don't know that, so you're welcome to use a calculator to do that. Cancel out the 0.25s because that equals 1, so I have 1x. And then 215 divided by 0.25 is 860. So we have just solved for the variable x, which is the number of miles that we can go. So we can go 860 miles in that week. And remember, when you are given a word problem, you need to make sure you answer it in sentence form that you would have a conversation with. So don't answer it in sentence form by writing out x, the word equals, then 860. You would want to write it in a sentence that makes sense to the question. You can travel 860 miles in 1 week for $385. Alright, let's move on to example 2 now. Given the perimeter of a rectangle and either the width or length, find the unknown measurement using the appropriate formula. And it tells us that the perimeter is 96 centimeters and the length is 27 centimeters. So let's go ahead and draw a picture of a rectangle. And the length is 27 centimeters. So I'm going to put 27 for the length. And we don't know the width. So I'm going to put W for the width. W equals the width of the rectangle. Alright, so it says to use the appropriate formula. So formula for perimeter, remember perimeter means you add up all the sides. So the formula for perimeter of a rectangle is 2 widths, so 2W plus 2 lengths, 2L. And we already know the L is 27, so we're going to plug that in for L. And we know that the perimeter is 96, so we plug that in for the P. So P is 96, 2W, we don't know the W, plus 2 times the length, which is 27. Alright, so let's draw our line, and let's go ahead and simplify 2 times 27. So we have 96 equals 2W plus 54. 54 is the 2 times 27. So I don't have to use the distributive property, I don't have to combine like terms, and I don't have to get the variable on one side because it's already on one side. So now we need to get rid of the addition and subtraction. So I need to subtract 54 from both sides. 96 minus 54 is 42, equals the 2W drops down here, and the 54's cancel. And then the next step is to divide by 2 on both sides. Since that was multiplication, I have to do the inverse. And 42 divided by 2 is 21. So I get 21 is equal to the width. So the question was, find the unknown measurement. The unknown measurement was width, so the width is 21 centimeters. Make sure you include the label with that. So again, the width of the rectangle is 21 centimeters. Make sure you put the label with it. Alright, let's move on to number 3. And number 3, I inadvertently left off the name of the person we're talking about, so let's add in here Trisha. So let's put here Trisha is paid $25 per hour at her job. She currently has $1,000 in her bank account. In order to go on a trip with her friends, she needs to have $2,000. How many hours over the next few weeks must she work until she reaches the amount needed to go on the trip? So let's start with the question. It says, how many hours? So I'm going to say X equals the number of hours that she has to work. Okay, so then let's picture what she has. She's paid $25 every hour. So $25 for every hour. And we don't know how many hours she works, so I'm putting those dots there. And if we don't know that, that's X number of times. And she currently has $1,000 in her account. So this $1,000 bill, let's pretend that there's a $1,000 bill. Okay, so she already has that. She adds on to that the $25 every hour she works, and she has to end up with $2,000. So she already has $1,000. She's adding on to that $25 for every hour she works, so that's 25x, and she needs to make a total of $2,000, or she has to have a total of $2,000 to go on the trip. So that's my equation. I'm ready to solve it. I do not need the distributive property. I don't need to combine like terms. And the variable is already on one side, so I can skip all the way to the fourth step of my series of guidelines. So I'm going to now subtract 1,000 from both sides. Those cancel, so I have 25x that drops down there equals 1,000, because 2,000 minus 1,000 is 1,000. And then I'm going to divide by 25, since this was multiplication. Divide by 25 on both sides. The 25's cancel, and I'm left with 1. And 1,000 divided by 25 is 40. Remember, x was the number of hours she had to work, so we just found out that she has to work 40 hours in order to go on the trip. So again, she must work 40 hours in order to go on the trip. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here and make a second video for the last page of our notes.